Hey guys, Yo again. I want to talk about hero or troop focus today. Fighter, rider, or shooter. Generally, you're going to choose one of the three, and there's different ways to do that. But I wanted to talk about how you do it. First of all, this particular account is a rider, and so I usually focus most of my training. If I'm going to speed it up, I speed up my riders. After riders, since rider beats the fighters would be my secondary, so that's the second thing that I would look at. But my primary focus is riders, and I'm going to use my Omni speed ups, my training speed ups to train troops on days with events. Second, you've got, let me get over here to it, you've got the Nova skills. Nova skills, my riders are always higher because this is a rider account. So you notice that those are higher and my fighters are second, and the cars, the vehicles, and the shooters are lower than my riders and fighters. The next thing I look at here is my research. Whenever I'm researching military or the troop stuff, I always try to do the rider stuff first on a rider account. Now, if you're a fighter, you would do the fighter stuff first. If you are a shooter, you would do the shooter stuff first. And then whichever one you are, what that type beats is what you would do second with what's left over. So see here, I'm getting pretty maxed out on this, but what I did was try to look at the rider stuff first, and then unit tactics as well on that here. So the next thing I'm going to do when I do unit tactics is going to be this rider revenge. So you want to look at that first because I'm a rider. After that, you have your seed stuff. Obviously, it's kind of random. You don't always get what you want. I got a shooter seed here. Shooters are my least focus, so I'm going to look and see if I can exchange. The blue ones don't exchange, so I'm just going to plant it. I mean, it doesn't hurt anything to plant what you don't necessarily focus on, but I definitely want to keep the rider ones and plant those, and the fighter ones too. Now, once I get out of that, you've got your gear, chips, and modules. Same thing. You want to do the rider ones first if you're rider. The top four are rider, the bottom four are shooter, and the four corners are fighter. And then you want to do ATK on your focus first, and def and HP second. So keep that in mind. Same thing with the chips. You want to do rider first if you're rider, fighter if you're fighter, what have you. And then the modules, cubes, and lastly, of course, you've got your bioenhancers. Bioenhancers, you have to kind of look a little bit closer because it mixes them up. Sometimes the def may be mixed with, well, now I'm doing the weapons. That's very, very random. Obviously, you want the ones that go with your hero type, but you don't always get to choose that. Just keep an eye out for those weapons. Your heroes, you want to do all your riders first, fighters second, and shooters last. Of course, if you're looking at things like your economy heroes, you want to do those sometimes when you just realize you need a bigger march, or your buildings are costing way too much to build. Go and bump those heroes up to help that out. But now see here, you've got your bioenhancers, and some of them just do troop, some of them do rider and shooter. It might do fighter and shooter, rider. It just depends. But remember, ATK first, def second, and then your HP, maybe around the same as your def. But try to focus on your focus. Do that first. Give the leftovers to your secondary focus, and then the scraps to the third. Troop, the troop boosts, I try to keep even with my focus type. Anyway, I hope this helps a lot. Sometimes when we say you need a focus, it doesn't quite make sense. So maybe seeing it here on the screen, it'll kind of help you. But just remember what your focus type is, give that first. Your secondary type gets what's left over, and the scraps go to the third type.